We got one of my favorite people to talk to jumping on the show today. I'm always excited to have Brady Collins talking Badgers, talking strength, talking on Wisconsin. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Badger fans, what is going on? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all tuning in, giving a little bit of your time. Nothing more important in life than time. So thank you for helping us build this show, this community. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as kind of the summer starts to kick in. FanDuel is giving everyone, all customers, a boost daily. That's right. There's something new for everyone all day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And without further ado, man, let's bring in Brady Collins, Director of Strength and Conditioning, Badgers Football. Been on the show a couple times. This is, I think, number 4 for you. Like, you're starting to... Oh, I had you on mute. That's my bad. How's that for a professional podcast? I think this is number 4 for you.
There we go. All right. Love that.
Listen, when you hit 5, you start to unlock some tiers. There's some tier bonuses you start to unlock. So
there we go. It's like the SNL 5-time host club. I love that.
I think when you hit 5, you get to host the show.
Ooh, I don't know about that. That could be tough. There'd be a lot of probably errors in that.
Yeah, and you got to be clean. There's no language. You have to keep it. So that's going to be tricky.
Yeah, that would be very tricky.
All right, well, let's get into it because, again, when we get the great guests that make us smarter, we appreciate the time, but we don't want to waste any time. I want to start here. A bunch of questions from people. I think that's a great spot to start with the community. The biggest question we had from a lot of people is it's always about the new players. Talk about the early enrollee guys. We've talked about a couple of them on the show, but who in that early enrollee 2024 class has really jumped out to you?
Yeah, the guys that have been here since January, I mean, just vast growth in those guys and their development, not only just in their bodies, their hearts, their minds, obviously football. Kevin Haywood stands out, who was thrusted into the 2 deep right away in the spring and held his own and, has just continued to grow and get better. You could keep going with the Colin Coverleys, Tommy Turbo Heiberger, Landon Gauthier. I mean, all those guys are in a much better position, no doubt, right now than when they came in. And, it's kind of even better now because the rest of their class, they're in their 3rd week here with us. And now they look up to those guys as, the guys that set the tone. And so really proud of all those guys. And can't wait to see where they keep going.
Well, talk to me about Haywood again, because he's a guy we touched on briefly the last time you were on the show. But is he about as good as you can look as a true freshman coming in early enrollee?
Oh, he looks even better now. But yes, he's been very blessed with genetics. But also just, a grit, a dedication, a toughness inside him to, not accept mediocrity, to not, want anything but the best for himself and others every single day. I think that's probably the coolest thing is, a lot of times young kids, no doubt they're driven to be the best for themselves. But, you get a guy like Woody who, up there on the O-line where it's such a tight-knit group where it takes all of you guys communicating, working together. To see him pour into other guys and to hold others accountable and motivate them the same way older guys do. It's been really cool. But he looks very, very good. Very, very happy with the recruiting that's going on right now.
Well, and that's a question that I get a lot too. This is from WJPEG. Do you have any influence over recruiting, eval? Like, what does that potentially look like from your standpoint?
I mean, definitely the professionals upstairs, they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, Pat and Max are the best in the country, if you ask me. And then obviously our coaching staff does an unbelievable job of identifying, yes, talent, but also the right ones. The ones that love this game, that have a passion for it, that are our type of kid that like, and I tell kids, even when they come on a visit, like I'm straight up honest with them. If you don't want to work hard, if you don't want to be the best, this ain't the place for you, because I don't want to be around average. Nobody in this building wants to. But no, I don't get to watch any film. Thank the Lord for that one. That's not my area of expertise. I'll jump up there every now and then with the boys and just see how things are going. And if they're watching someone, I'll be like, oh yeah, I like him. But I can give my take on guys on their body frames and what they could be. But you don't know none of that stuff till you get to meet them and truly start developing that relationship with them as well.
Well, let's stick on recruiting because I've mentioned to you this before off the air, but every offensive lineman I talk to, the family of Kevin Haywood loves you. Logan Powell loves you. I've talked to, you can go down the list like Coverly and Jensen. What is your special connection with the offensive lineman?
Oh man, those are my sons. Those are my boys. I think it really stems back probably from high school. Like, my best friends in high school were my O linemen because I knew I couldn't play well without them. And then in college, your best friends are some of your O linemen. Why? Because you can't play well without those guys. And just understanding that, this game is won in the trenches at any level. It's won in the trenches. Speed helps, no doubt. We got a lot of that, and talent and all those things. But those guys up front, the big nasties that are physically empowering their will against other grown ass men that are just as big or stronger or have more technique, it's every single play. So the way that we train them is different than anybody. It's different than anybody I've ever worked for. It's different than anybody in the country. It just is. And it's not what we do, it's why we do and how we do it. So, and I think it's just building that relationship with them, that consistency from me, the trust, the respect, ultimately the love that we have of doing what it is that we do and taking care of them, putting them in the best position to be the best O lineman they can be, training them that way.
Let me ask you this, and I'm always curious how you watch games, right? Because you put so much of yourself into these players and your team as well, not just you. When you see a 4th and 1, knowing that the offensive line, they're your dudes, and that 4th and 1, like last year, Ohio State, Braylon on at the goal line, right? That wasn't the 4th, but do you take it a little personally when we don't get? I say we, like I'm doing, but when Wisconsin doesn't get that 4th and 1, that 3rd and 1,
100%, yeah. I mean that should be known. 4th and 1, 4th and 2, no, put it down. Let's go. That's what we train for every single day is 4th and 1 mentality here, and that's that can sound scary, but it's like no, like we're not training just to train. We're not training to win 6 games. We're not training to win 8. We're training to win every game. And it's got to be tough. It's got to be hard. And ultimately, you want to look your players in the eye and know that they want that too. And I think, where we're at now, we're in a much better position than we were last year, just with the evolution of everything and just growth and continual development and enhancement from top to bottom in this program. But heck yeah, I feed off that because I'm going to take my guys against those guys every single time. Every single time. I don't care if there's 30 guys on the D-line. Give me my 5 O linemen against those 30 guys. We'll find a way.
I love it. I'm always curious with this. How do you measure your success? So let's say you hit the testing measures you're looking for a certain player, and that may be even that may be more broad than it should be. But is that then successful for the strength and conditioning department if they then go out and maybe don't succeed on the field?
No, because you know what? I mean, numbers don't really matter. They really don't. And I tell the kids that all the time. I said, nobody cares what you bench. Nobody cares what you squat. It's your intent. It's your purpose. It's your urgency. It's why you do it. You know what I mean? And I think when kids really buy into that, what happens? Oh, I get stronger. Oh, when I put on good weight and I'm leaner and I'm bigger and stronger, I'm faster. What does that do? It just breeds more confidence, right? The easiest thing we can do is make anybody's body look better. By the way that we train, the way that we feed you, the way that we recover, our plan works. But ultimately, it still comes down to playing football really, really well. So, our success is always going to be measured with and really for me, I take it even one step deeper. How close are we? How tight are we? Can we go through tough times, through adversity, not just in the game, but in every single situation, whether it's in a workout or whatever it may be, and handle it the right way, come together the right way, fight through it the right way. When I look at that, I think right now that's far more enhanced than where we were last year. And that's, just rightfully so, like I said, with the development and guys understanding what we're about, how we go about things, the way that we do anything, the way we do everything. The coaches that have been brought in, the enhancement that they've done to the guys, and just, knowing that the locker room runs this place, right? I get the whistle, I'm running the workouts, I get all that. You guys run this. This is your program, and when you have high-end dudes that are no doubt really good at football, and they're your best players, but they're also your best workers, which therefore your best leaders, and the Hunter Wohlers, the Jake Chaneys, the Will Paulings, the list can go on and on. You feel really good.
That actually jumps right into one of these other questions we had. You kind of talked to it, but anything else, this is from Pancake Pete, differences between the two off seasons. You kind of touched about the familiarity with what you're trying to accomplish, the standards, kind of anything else, even from just a player's mentality standpoint?
Yeah, I think it's always, these kids are unbelievable human beings. They really are. And I knew that the first week I was here. Like I said, we gave them their first real lift, and guys are coming up to you and like hugging you. And they're like, thank you, coach. And you're like, thank you. Like, I'm not used to that. I'm used to, guys like slapping you and being like, dang, coach, that sucked. That was so hard. See you tomorrow, whatever. Like, So they're great kids. They will work hard. And it's not a disrespect to anybody that was here before or any program outside of here. There's just different ways to do things. Selfishly, bias, whatever you may call it, I know what we do works. And again, yes, it's about getting bigger. It's about getting stronger. It's about getting faster. Everything that we do is to make you a better football player. And really, every single thing about all of that is to make us a better team. And so I think, with the evolution of what we went through last year, you never truly know until you go through a season. Like, you really don't, because you're going to find, the guys that are going to push through, the guys are going to, take charge, the guys that are going to maybe fold, or you thought they're bought in or whatnot. Like, say whatever you want. We're in a much better place because of the guys in the locker room. And that starts at the top, the way Coach Fick has laid out the plan of everything that we do. But it really is, it's those guys in the locker room driving this thing, holding the standard, setting the standard, not accepting any selfishness, any softness, any laziness, like knowing that, yes, this is going to be hard. The games are going to be hard. It's still not going to be as hard as life. So everything that we do together. We do it the right way. We do it hard. We do it better than anybody else, and we're going to finish.
Let's go. You got me pumped, Coach. This is phenomenal stuff as always. We got to take a quick break for our friends of the show. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about early impressions on that 24 class, plus some more talk on your questions, defensive line, veteran players. What have they taken a step up? That's with Mr. Brady Collins coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at eBay Motors. Coach Collins kind of strikes me as the type of guy who's turned a wrench or two in his life. I'm not sure. I'll have to ping him on that. But if he wants to go any car parts, get anything, just like you, go over to eBay Motors to get over 122 million parts. I don't think you could fit that many parts in Camp Randall. I don't know where they put them all. Parts for everything you need from your car, from the audio to just the mechanical. Go over to eBay Motors. Right now, it's the easiest, fastest, simplest, quickest way to buy your car parts. The right fit, the right prices. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers, and it is the easiest, fastest, simplest way to buy those car parts. Again, eBay Guaranteed Fit, available to U.S. customers. The right parts, the right fit, the right prices, eligible items only, exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Let's get Coach back on here and just continue chopping this up. Early impressions. I know it's they just got there essentially, but the 24 kids who didn't enroll early. Xavier Lucas has been like my guy. He's been on the show a couple times. I've talked to his dad. I love him. What are your early impressions of Xavier Lucas?
Exact same. I love him as well. Great kid, extremely motivated. Got a lot of, extra stuff to him that, you only see when things start evolving and get really hard. And, his strain and his fight it's impressive. He's 6'3", every bit of 195 plus pounds. Ran a 4.4 on his testing day, which was very nice. But again, just that whole group, they again, thank you to recruiting and everything. I mean, it does help you, but Emerson Mendel comes in, he looks unbelievable, and he's strong and athletic and light on his feet. And, he's going to be just like everybody else. In a couple weeks from now, he's going to be even more better. Those two running backs are freaky and special. Great kids, doing a really great job. D. Lyman, Dylan Johnson, and Hank Weber doing a great job. Emilio Agar doing a great job. Jay Harper, great kid, from Alabama. Probably never really trained as much like this. He's awesome. So they're doing a really good job of buying in, being coachable. Still waiting for a few of those guys to come out of their shell a little bit, which I'm sure is going to happen on Friday when they're introduced to the older guys in Squad Fest. So that'll be fun.
Talk to me about, I want to get to Squad Fest, which I know is coming up as well. Talk to me about Dylan Johnson a little bit, the defensive tackle, former wrestler. He feels to me like the almost a prototypical guy you're looking for on the inside of a defensive line.
Oh, yeah. That's a plug right there. I was actually shocked for how well he looks. He was like 285, I think, the first time he weighed in with us, and now he's like 290. But he looks great. He's lean. He's very, very, very strong, very twitchy. He's fast. His hands are, huge. Huge, like the size of a helmet. They're huge. And he's got big feet too. So we're really looking forward to the development of him. Being a 4-time state champion wrestler, once he gets his hands on you, it's probably not a good thing. Coach Fick's jokes all the time because everybody's always like, "You're going to wrestle him? You're going to wrestle him?" And he's like, "I ain't wrestling that guy."
It's awesome. And talk to me about Squad Fest coming up, obviously this week. How excited are you? Anything that I know some of that's under wraps, but anything you can share about version 2?
Bigger and better. It's what it's going to be, man. Every year, I always say, man, it can't get better than that. And then I challenge it because it does. And, I think just kind of what we talked about briefly, I think it's going to be better in that aspect as far as, it's not going to be about the weights. It's not going to be about all the lights, even though it's going to be pretty cool and all the other things that we're doing. And it's going to be one of those things that as a team, we know we're about to go through something that's going to be tough. It's going to be grueling. It's going to be so much fun, though. And at the end of it, we're going to feel like we accomplished something extremely special together. And we went through adversity. We went through tough times and situations, and we pushed and held each other accountable and came out on the other end. So I'm really excited for that. I know it's going to be awesome. The boys are already jacked up for it and got a couple of days to take care of first. We'll do a little combine testing day on Thursday, which will be really impressive considering last Friday we had some pretty impressive speeds. We had like 12 to 15, 20 plus guys. We had 9, 21 mile an hour plus guys, and then we had 3, 22 mile an hour plus guys. So that's pretty freaky. And those aren't all just wideouts and DBs. You're talking outside linebackers, inside linebackers, tight ends, running backs, quarterback, and Van Dyke. Like, it's special. So no doubt that helps when you have speed at every single area of the game. But we all know, that true top end speed is never really going to show itself in a game unless it's a long run, a touchdown pass, or God forbid a DB trying to chase someone down. But on paper, we are one of the fastest teams I've ever been a part of. And that's great. And it helps, but it's still going to be about, are we the tightest and are we the toughest?
We talked about Van Dyke last time in his top speed. Who's a guy maybe in that 20-plus group that Badger fans would maybe be surprised by?
John Pius.
Oh, what's he like?
John Pius has put on 30 pounds since he's been here with us. And that's just an evolution of the way that we train, being around so much more food, resources, nutritionists, all those things. That's not a knock on where he came from. It's just the truth. And just, his work ethic, the way he is around the players. He's such a great young man, great attitude, trains his butt off. And then he's freaky now. He's genetically talented. So enhancing that even more and then seeing him run, it's like, oh, baby. Yeah, it's really nice.
One of the questions we had was pound for pound, who, and this is a tough one to get the exact guy, but who comes to your mind if we say pound to pound, who are the best athletes on this team? Who are some people that immediately jump into your head?
Will Pauling, Jake Chaney, Austin Brown, Hunter, Tretch. Yeah, there's more, but those guys, they come to mind right away for sure.
A couple guys you hit on that I want to ask you about specifically. You hit on Pauling, you hit on, and previously you talked about Hunter Wohler. What do you do with guys that are so established coming into the next year? A guy like Pauling, a guy like Rico, a guy like Hunter. Like, how do you fine tune their games? Because obviously it's different than taking a Dylan Johnson. There's just a ball.
No, that's a great question because, I always say this in a recruiting spiel, and I'll say it to my guys and the staffs every now and then. Like, we're in a world of perpetual development where every single day of every week of every year, I got to be doing something to get better. I can't just copy and paste what I did as a strength coach, what I did as a football player, you name it, whatever your job is, and expect the same results. So, when you look at certain guys like a Will Pauling, okay, he played last year at like 185. Okay. Do you want to get a little bit bigger? I think you could hold 190 if you want. And selfishly, he wanted to. He's like, I want to be 190. It's like, okay, you're already fast. Let's see what that does. Oh, it made you even a little faster. Oh, it got you even a little bit stronger. Okay, your body feels good. You're healthy. Awesome. Now your leadership, the way you bring others with you, all that can be enhanced. Hunter Wohler, who no doubt when you press play, plays with his hair on fire. He plays so fast. Whereas last year, if I looked at some of his testing, like he wasn't going to wow you in any of his 40s or anything like that. Okay, in turn now, oh yeah, he will. And I think that's really cool to see the evolution of his body. He's 218 pounds and he looks unbelievable. 218 pounds. When we got here, he was like 196. And, he's the heart and soul of everything we're about. He's, the Energizer Bunny, but now he's got a little more of that added, testing to him, which again, nothing matters. You press play. He's awesome. Rico Hallman's another good one, right? I mean, genetically, you aren't gifted vertically. Okay, that's fine. Nothing you can do about that. Let's lean you up even more. Let's put on good weight. Let's get you tougher. Let's get you faster, right? Because if you're not a blazer or a top end guy, okay, what's going to be your edge? What's your, is it technique? Is it, your footwork? All those types of things. So it's always fun working with, the coaches and the players as individual and finding those areas because, you never just want to have the exact same thing for them. There's always something to enhance. And, a great example of that is the guy that, Coach Vic said was probably the most improved and best player of the spring, Nazir Cream. Like, the guy's almost 195 pounds right now. He played last year at like 170. And that's because he got to us so late, coming off an injury, couldn't really train, thrown into camp because of, DB issues and all that stuff. He's playing and he held his own. I'm sure there was, some good and some bad. There are. But now he's 195 pounds. He's bigger. He's faster. He's stronger. He's tougher. He's got way more confidence. Like, no doubt he played really well. Why? Because he's working for it. So those are always fun to see the evolution of everybody.
That's phenomenal. I'm just thinking of a 220-pound Hunter Wohler coming down into the box. Like, it's terrible.
And he's faster. Oh, man.
I almost wonder last year because he had so much on his plate, right? Had 100+ tackles. He was incredible. And I almost wonder if that starts to wear on a guy, right? And now he's got another 20 pounds to absorb some of that over the course of a Big Ten season. That's incredible. All right, we have to take a quick break. One more, and this is phenomenal. It's always one of my favorite episodes when I get Brady Collins on. But we're going to come back, talk a little bit about Hallman, Nelson, and I got a bunch more questions. We're not going to get to all of it, including you realize you look like Fred Durst, right? That was a comment we got from someone.
I know. Everybody always says when I wear this hat.
Yes, that's it. That's the picture. I absolutely love it. We're going to come back with Coach Collins. One more quick break for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one source for all your sports betting needs, all your sports betting information. Fastest, easiest, simplest. Futures, if you want to get on that Badgers over, which I've told you, the Badgers are going to hit that over this year. Year two, I'm excited for it. And I'm even more excited about it now that talking to Brady Collins and knowing there's a 220-pound menace at safety. But do all your betting over at FanDuel. Great new offer. New customers bet $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on futures, parlay, spreads, teasers, whatever you would like over at FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Bet on whatever sport you want to. Please do it responsibly. FanDuel.com/lockedon. I also want to say thank you to everybody tuning in. We'll get Mr. Brady Collins back on here for one last segment, and then unfortunately we have to let him go. But it's always fun when we get Coach Collins on. And as always, really do appreciate everybody tuning in. All right, let's get Coach back on, finish up this segment. All right, let's finish this up. And again, very grateful for your time, man. We run out of time before we run out of questions every single time. Let me put a few more of these questions that we have from people up here. Who are some other people? This is from TJ24. Big gains from last year.
Yeah, I mentioned Nazir. I think even some of those, like Jake Chaney looks totally different. He just does. And he already looked good last year, but he's the same body weight, but he's leaner. His body fat's down. He's faster. He's more explosive. His leadership and just personality has taken over the team. No doubt the linebacker room. Some of those guys, young guys that were thrusted to play earlier, Christian Allegro, Tucker Ashcraft. I mean, Tucker Ashcraft came in like 228, something like that. He's 255 right now. Allegro was 220. Now he's 240. Those guys are blessed with, height and just genetics and, so they're enhanced even more. But Ches is healthy and looks even better than he did going into last year, which is extremely special for a seasoned veteran that's played a lot of football and, is much older than some of these guys. But even up front with the big boys, like Jack Nelson is a totally different player. His body looks totally different. He's bigger, he's stronger. Work capacity and just all those things. So I could bore everybody and list every single buddy, but I think Nazir stands out the most. I mentioned Hunter just putting on a couple extra pounds and just, again, using every resource to his abilities and, leading this team. And it's a lot of special things brewing.
I'll tell you this, for the real ones that are watching, I don't think you could literally go down the entire roster through every PWO and not bore anybody. I'll just throw that out there for a future episode.
We'll start with the specialist. I'm kidding.
No, please, we'll eat it up. One of the things I really wanted to ping you on, we live in an era of, to some degree, competition leads to people leaving programs, right? The portal, and it's just easier. I'm so impressed at times when I see a bunch of transfers come in, but you see the Daryl Petersons and the Cheneys stay and battle and compete and get better. Talk to me about those two cats. You already hit on Chaney a little bit, but
yeah,
it's so easy to root for guys who stay and compete.
Well, I think the number one thing about those guys too is that they have exactly what you want. when you're looking for young men in your football program. They have the will, they have the toughness, they have the love and the passion for the game to get better, to do whatever it takes to get better. And a huge part of that's competition. Because if I ultimately want to be the best, I got to have others around me pushing me, holding me to that standard to be the best. If not, guess what? I'm going to take your job. I'm going to play over you. But then also selfishly, you want to have a bunch of guys that can play at a high end so that you can rotate them, be fresh, be healthy for, yes, 12 games, 13, 14, 15, 16, however many of this playoffs go into. Like, that matters. And so always about bringing the right ones in. Same with recruiting, whether they're an early enrollee or guys that just got here. Like, it's always about being the right ones. Like, you're going to have good film. You're going to have good measurables, all that stuff. Do you have the heart? Do you have the mind? Do you have that general love to compete at the highest level and not accept anything but the absolute best? So, yeah, it's great to have those guys. It's great. Like I said, those guys are vastly different than what they were last year. And a lot of that could be, yes, bringing in some guys to add to them and to push them and to make them even better, but it's also just who they are. It's innate in them.
Talk to me about this is from Scooby, and just a couple more questions here, and then we'll let you go. I promise. Jump from year 1 to year 2 for some of the transfers from last year, maybe the Bryson Greens, the CJ Williams. Certainly, there's a few other ones. Renfro came over from Cincinnati. Some of those guys.
Yeah, Jake's rock star, the apex of that O-line, man, the man in the middle. His energy is contagious. He's really done a great job getting all those O-linemen to, be at his level and then some, and he's very, very phenomenal. He's healthy, looks great. So expecting big things out of him. Bryson Green, I think, is an absolute monster. He's a freak. He should not be able to do some of the things that he does, but he does. It's unbelievable. I think he's due for something really, really freaky. The Quincy Burrows. People saw Will Pauling last year. You're going to see a totally different one this year now. I mean, that kid's coming. Let me tell you, he ain't satisfied. So, even Braden Locke. I mean, his body and just his demeanor and his personality, all those things, are vastly different. So it's a nice growth for a lot of these guys, and a lot of it has to do with those dudes in the locker room, holding the standard, setting it, and pushing the brotherhood every single day.
You get jumped in an alley. You can pick 2 guys off each side of the ball to help you out. Who are they?
Aaron Witt on defense, and Chaney or Hunter, and then on offense, Joe Huber, and probably Joe Brunner.
You're winning that fight.
Yeah.
Oh no, we lost Coach Collins. See if he comes back here in a sec. I mean, we are about at the end of the time anyway. Hopefully he comes back so I can at least say thank you and appreciate it. And the time is always awesome when we have Coach Collins on. But if not, we're about at the end of the show anyway. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, you guys are incredible. Thank you for jumping on the show. Again, every show we get with Brady's basically awesome. Great insight. If you're going to pick out a couple things from this, Nizer Forkrin, bigger, stronger, faster. There it is.
Sorry about that. The wife called and I was like trying to press it on my watch. Like, no.
No, listen, you can definitely take the wife's call over Locked On Badgers every single time.
We're talking about the Badgers here, honey.
Stop. I've got Ryan on. You got to wait.
That's right.
I was just wrapping up anyway, mostly just saying thank you, as always, man. Really do appreciate the time. Badger fans are stoked, and I know you got Squad Fest coming up, so can't wait till we have you on the next time. And thank you so much, as always, man.
Oh, no, appreciate you, man. Appreciate everything you do to put out, stuff about our guys and the future Badgers and all that stuff. And, I know I'm always going to be biased, and it can sound that way, but we got something special brewing, and it's a lot different than what it was last year, and it's a lot different than anything I've ever experienced. And, so we just got to keep it humming and keep being closer and tougher and tighter together and, go do some special things this year.
I love it, man. He is Brady Collins. I'm Ryan Harings, Locked On Badgers on Wisconsin, and thank you so much for tuning in.